Welcome to VTV News Thursday edition live from Hanoi. You're with me, Dai Chang, and here come our latest updates for the hour. High hopes expressed in National Assembly for new Prime Minister who will sworn into office today. A amended press law passed and is expected to create a legal framework for the development of Vietnamese media. In Khánh Hòa and Ho Chi Minh City tightens Zika preventive measures following the first infection cases. The top news for today, Prime Minister Nguyễn Tấn Dũng concluded his term on Wednesday. State President Trần Đại Quang said that Prime Minister Nguyễn Tấn Dũng, who was elected at the first session of the 13th National Assembly, has fulfilled his assigned tasks. The state president then delivered a report on the nomination for the position of Prime Minister. The nominated candidate is Politburo member and Deputy Prime Minister Nguyễn Xuân Phúc, who is also National Assembly Deputy. On April the 7th, the National Assembly will elect the new Prime Minister. And also on Wednesday, the National Assembly adopted a number of laws. These include the law on access to information and the revised law on import-export tariffs. Nguyễn Tấn Dũng left office after 9 years and 10 months as Prime Minister, and as State President Trần Đại Quang delivered a report on the nomination for the Prime Minister on April the 6th, National Assembly deputies expressed their praise for the work done by outgoing politicians and hopes for the future.
Former Prime Minister Nguyễn Tấn Dũng was the focus of the National Assembly and the media on April 6th. National Assembly deputies expressed their appreciation for the work done by the outgoing ministers and Prime Minister, especially in overcoming the difficulties the economy faced in the recent period. These efforts helped stabilise the macroeconomy, control inflation and stabilise the exchange rate.
The Prime Minister demonstrated his responsibility and dedication to the country, especially in terms of both internal and foreign affairs. The Prime Minister did well to push the economy towards greater international integration and protected the country's sovereignty. The government and ministries have significantly focused on dealing with inflation until economic growth rose from 6.5 to 6.7% per year. I thought that the government did a very successful job in the last tenure.
Vietnam's gross domestic products experienced a fourfold increase over the past decade. If in 2006 the total export turnover of the country stood at around $70 billion, this figure reached nearly $330 billion last year. However, the challenges that the new administration will face are extensive. These include a budget deficit and public debt of 62% of GDP. In addition, the process of implementing various free trade agreements and the maintenance of sovereignty will be challenging.
I think the government must unite the whole country. It is the key strength and the symbol of a crossbow that can protect the territory. The government should focus on macroeconomic stability in order to ensure solid growth of the economy at a reasonable level. The new government must be more active and creative in order to solve all the issues related to basic everyday issues such as food safety and severe drought.
The newly elected Prime Minister will be sworn in on April 7th, and Deputy Prime Ministers and Ministers, as well as the other government members, will also take office on the same day.
Now, the National Assembly passed the amended press law on Tuesday. The press law gives more details about the rights and responsibilities of individuals and active groups in this field and is expected to create an important legal framework for the development of the media in Vietnam.
The new law includes 61 articles, including 32 new articles and 29 revised clauses. The new legislation is the result of 21 draft amendments. The amended press law passed specific provisions on freedom of the press, freedom of speech in the press. The law also puts further emphasis on defending journalists in the line of their work.
The current press law was first enacted in 1989 and amended after 10 years. It no longer meets the development needs of the Vietnamese press. The new amendments have to add more detail to the law's articles. Provisions in the 2013 Constitution was made clearer and given more detail through this law. One of the highlights is freedom of speech. The freedom of press for citizens is clarified and confirmed in the law. Freedom of press and freedom of expression in the press is the highlight, though not entirely new, but is consistent implementation of human rights, freedom of expression, freedom of the press, and freedom of access to information.
The approval wait for a journalism card will be cut from 3 years working time to 2 years. Prohibited acts such as obstructing journalists and reporters in the line of their work are also outlined. These are some of the new points in the legislation. The law will take effect from the 1st of January 2017.
In other news, localities will no longer be allocated Officials Development Assistance or ODA, but instead will be only given the option to take commercial loans at preferential interest rates according to a new decree on lending which will be issued shortly. The decree aims to force localities to use ODA finance more efficiently.
The North Channel system was once the most polluted area in Nghệ An province. With more than $4 million of ODA loans, the North Channel turned into streets. However, these funds will no longer available for Nghệ An province from July 2017, so that the province will have to find other solutions to secure investment.
I think we should have stricter controls in order to use the money more effectively. We can curb waste and concentrate on getting value for money. We also have to turn to other sources of investment to ease some pressure on the demand for investment.
According to the Ministry of Finance, some $670 million in ODA for localities, with only 7.8% of ODA allotment. During this transitional period, the government will reduce the rate and increase the percentage of ODA allocation to localities. Specifically, lending rate is 10%, except for Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City.
From now on, the localities should start reassessing how they go about managing their finances, and the central authorities should also have guidelines on the policies so localities are able to understand the new system. However, the most important thing is that localities should know how to control their debts to optimize their loans.
ODA loans will switch to repayment terms after July 2017, doubling the time limits and raising interest rates from 2% to 3%. The government will also source foreign credit sources, then lend these funds to localities.
By implementing this mechanism, the repayment of ODA loans would better minimize the possibility of large ODA debts being incurred. However, ministries have continued to borrow ODA, then relent it, which eventually increased the ODA loan from the beginning.
According to the Ministry of Finance, although local mechanisms for taking foreign loans do not reduce public debt, localities still have to share their debt obligations with central government. Therefore, before borrowing to invest in projects, localities must carefully consider the necessity of the projects, as well as improved management in order to avoid potential waste.
This year's Vietnam Manufacturing Expo kicked off in Hanoi on Wednesday. The 8th annual exhibition has attracted hundreds of Vietnamese and foreign enterprises in the support industry sector. Thanh Hai reports.
French corporation Willow produces pumps and provides water treatment solutions. The company intends to open an assembly platform in Vietnam in coming year.
I decided to come to Hanoi exhibition to look for new opportunities for sourcing. and to see what are the possibility we have to source for our company, yes, industrial part, mechanical parts.
Vietnam Manufacturing Expo 2016 attracts over 200 companies in the supporting industry from 20 countries and territories. The exhibition showcases industrial equipment, components and technologies, and is aimed to boost cooperation between Vietnam and other countries, and also create more opportunities for enterprises to expand business and for partners. Pumpkin is a Thai corporation providing hand tools. Participating in this exhibition the first time, the company is looking for distributors to sell their products in Vietnam.
This is the first day, and for the half morning, we met some interesting company. Yeah, a few, about 3 companies. They come from north of Hanoi, and one of them also come from Ho Chi Minh.
Several Vietnamese enterprises take part in the exhibition in order to engage foreign partners.
This exhibition gives our company more chances to find partners, and we expect to double our revenue compared to last year.
Only 3% of Vietnamese businesses are engaged in the support industry sector, and therefore there is a shortfall in meeting the demand of both domestic and export markets. According to the Master Plan on Support Industry Development 2020, with a vision to 2030, Vietnam has targeted that support industries will meet 45% of the central demand for domestic production and account for 25% of export industry production value by 2020. The exhibition will last until April the 8th at Hanoi International Exhibition Center.
In other news, along with other localities in the Central Highlands, local residents in Kon Tum province have recently received nearly 500 tons of rice from government support. This has helped residents cope with these difficulties and avoid the specter of starvation.
Kon Tum is one of the cities that has been seriously affected by drought. Up to now, almost 500 hectares of crops have burnt and dried out due to the drought. Yi Ben works very hard to earn a living. She couldn't provide sufficient food and rice to cover all the meals of the 9 members in her family. But now, with more than 2 sacks of rice supplied by the government, she can save money and maintain her family's meals in the coming month.
I felt really happy when the government provided us with rice. I have already planted a hectare field of wheat, but it is not sufficient to pay my debts.
In the drought season of the Central Highlands, more than 100,000 people are affected in Gia Lai and Kon Tum provinces. Therefore, these 2 provinces have asked the government to provide 2,000 tons of rice for residents. Currently, the General Department of State Reserve in the Northern Highlands have also provided nearly 100 tons of rice in Phase 1 to local authorities.
If I don't have rice, I have to work hard to earn money. Otherwise, I won't stay hungry.
Kon Tum proposed to the Ministry of Labour, Invalids and Social Affairs, as well as the government, to receive 500 tons of rice over 3 months. To date, we have provided them with rice for 2 months.
During these difficult times of drought, the rice provided by the government has gone some way in helping local residents get back on their feet.
Now, the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development just released the master plan for growing macadamia trees in the Northwest and Central Highlands regions for 2020 with a vision to 2030. The macadamia planting area will cover nearly 10,000 hectares by 2020, including both monoculture and polyculture. This figure is expected to increase to 34.5 thousand hectares by 2030. Both of these figures are considerably lower than previous ones. The ministry will work with localities on the production scale for each one based on the results of growing these trees until 2020. In the next part of our program, Khánh Hoa and Ho Chi Minh City tightens Zika preventive measures following the first infection cases. And museums apply technology to attract more visitors in the coming time. These and more coming up.
Exotic Vietnam is an intriguing blend of many charms. This land is where all manner of stunning landscapes await like a visual feast, rivaled only by the beauty of its people and their abundantly rich tradition and culture. Here is where you can relive the past in richest color or live it up in the bright lights of the big city. With so much more to offer, Vietnam is simply unforgettable.
Welcome back. Now, Deputy Prime Minister Nguyễn Xuân Phúc recently agreed to the Hanoi People's Committee's proposal to postpone the signing of a contract with a ductile and water pipe supplier on Phase 2 of the Da River Water Project for further research and review. Now, Hanoi People's Committee also proposed to seek foreign experts to verify the quality of the pipe supplied by the contractor. The contractor has also been instructed that they may lose their contract to supply ductile and water pipelines if they fail to meet technical requirements. Now, the first Zika patient in the southern central province of Khánh Hòa is recovering. However, preventive measures are being strictly implemented. In Khánh Hòa, authorities circled the area where the patient lived to spray and collect mosquito samples. Now, Ho Chi Minh City's Department of Health requested the Center for International Health Quarantine to tighten surveillance at International Airport. The center will cooperate with security forces at the airport to monitor passengers' temperatures and gather information for passengers traveling from affected areas. Anyone showing suspicious symptoms will be immediately transported to the hospital for tropical diseases for quarantine for 12 days. Insect as a repellent will be continuously sprayed to fight mosquitoes in gates and terminals. An international ophthalmology conference was held yesterday in the central city of Hue, drawing over 300 eye experts and doctors across the nation and other countries such as Canada, the UK, Singapore, and Thailand. This event, held every 2 years, is part of collaboration between Hue's Central Hospital and Hawaii Optometric Association. The conference gathered updates on cataract surgeries, glaucoma, eye diseases, and topics related to retinopathy and cosmetic eye surgeries. Surgeries on real patients are performed to display wet lab techniques and fluorescence angiography and retinal photocoagulation, among others. Now, this year marks the 10th year of the Hawaii Optometric Association has been associated with Vietnam's ophthalmology. Now, the dead body of a giant whale drifting at sea was buried by the fishermen at Phú Quý Island District, Bình Thuận Province. The whale is estimated to weigh nearly 70 tons and measure at 17 to 18 meters. It was found on Monday by Đặng Mẫu Hữu, a 45-year-old fisherman living in Bình Định Province. Hữu and other fishermen pulled the corpse to Triều Dương Bay, Tam Thanh Commune the following day to have it buried. According to traditional custom, whales are worshipped by fishermen as they often emerge to help fishermen sail home safely during storms at sea. Now on to culture scene. Culinary tourism is considered as one of the main targets to boost tourism in Vietnam in general and tourism in Thừa Thiên Huế province in particular. Having once been the capital of Vietnam, Hue is famous for its culinary arts. However, the potential of Hue's unique cuisines have not been properly exploited to bring the benefits of culinary tourism to the city. Two years ago, this 1-hectare area of land situated between Đoàn Thị Điểm and Nguyễn Chí Diệu roads was developed as a dynamic food court to serve the Hue Festival 2014. However, when the festival was over, the food court fell into a slump, forcing the main investor, Hue Tourist Joint Stock Company, to retreat.
In terms of food tourism, we are merely serving food to visitors. We hope that in the future there will be more and more flexible food stores so that they can meet all the demands of visitors.
Huế Food Street was also located on Nguyễn Đình Chiểu walking street along the Hương River. But after a short period of time, because of the lack of professional services and unreasonable prices charged, a number of investors withdrew. Apart from king rice, there are plenty of potential foreign cuisines that could attract the majority of tourists and residents. The Huế Của Ta company is boldly implementing a food street project associated with the Thanh Toàn Tile Bridge. It will open in late April in time for the Huế Festival this year.
In order to develop various types of food tourism, it is necessary to invest more and more in the quality of food and services. The food street needs to be associated with the customer's tastes and hobbies, as well as the famous brands of Huế cuisine.
Finding solutions to develop culinary tourism is an efficient way to boost tourism products, which have long been a strength of Thừa Thiên Huế. An Bang Beach in Hội An City, Quảng Nam Province was listed in World's Top 800 Best Beaches by CNN Travel News. However, it was only when erosion affected the nearby Cửa Đại Beach that foreign tourists started to come to An Bang. The locals and authorities since then have had to find ways to improve their services to meet the increasing number of tourists.
An Bang Beach is now filled with foreign tourists, more come given the tragic erosion affecting Cửa Đại Beach since June 2014. In order for tourists to enjoy the services here, the local authorities have sent more staff to maintain the beach, ensure public order and guarantee environmental sanitation.
My security squad prevent drunk people fighting and peddlers. The team in yellow uniform is a rescue team. They operate at sea from 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. and from 9 a.m. into the afternoon.
More tourists led to the development of restaurants and food selling on the beach. A sudden increase in the number of tourists has also put pressure on food safety and prices.
We asked the restaurant owners to participate in food safety training at the beginning of the year. There are also regular inspections to control food prices.
An Bang Beach was recognized as one of the 100 most beautiful beaches in the world. Will need professional management to retain its position. Regional authorities have closely monitored and helped locals in providing services for tourists by ensuring security and environmental sanitation.
Now, museums are among Hanoi and Vietnam's top tourist attractions. To further attract more visitors, many museums have stepped up efforts to improve facilities and exhibits. Let's find out more.
This trilingual automatic audio presentation in Vietnamese, French and English was 3,000 times in the first 2 months. The system is useful not only to foreign tourists but also to Mai Lee, a student working on her thesis.
These sorts of features make it easier for people like me when doing research on these artifacts. With the stories in the demonstrations, I can quickly memorize information and find it more interesting.
For us, in particular, as foreigners, it's very useful to get a better idea about the context of how this all fits into your history.
Museums are stepping up efforts in applying technology in their exhibits.
The 57-story system has many personal stories for the exhibit, but it also has general stories, which help visitors know about the whole museum. We found that the stories have more of an emotional impact on visitors, and they are very convincing.
The Museum of Vietnamese History is pioneering a 3D interactive system. While 3D museums can't replace a conventional museum, it has made the whole museum more interesting.
The results have been positive. Visitors are excited to see the 3D system. It's a new way for them to access information besides experiencing real exhibits on display.
Applying technology in museums will be an effective way for museums to stay competitive as attractions, especially when new tourist services are blooming.
Now, over the last few days, a series of events have been held to commemorate the death of famous songwriter Trịnh Công Sơn. This includes a free night music concert featuring singer Khánh Ly. This event was organized at the Hanoi University of Culture on Monday with the aim of bringing Trịnh music closer to students. Hundreds of students came to the concert.
This is the melody of White Summer, a famous song by Trịnh Công Sơn, performed by singer Khánh Ly. Her voice has become synonymous with Trịnh songs.
Although Khánh Ly is now 72 years old, her voice still touches our hearts. Such songs remind me of many memories, as Trịnh music was part of my youth. His music has been my favorite for a long time.
Through the concert, her voice has touched a wider audience, especially among the young.
This is the first time I have listened to Khánh Ly, and I'm truly into her voice. It tingles with emotion. Trịnh Công Sơn works have helped me to learn to cherish our life.
To Khánh Ly, singing with students brings back memories of her youth.
The concert brought back happy memories when Trịnh Công Sơn and I went to schools to sing for students. I still dream to return to that journeys. Today I felt nervous, like when I sang to Trịnh music in the past.
50 years ago, singer Khánh Ly's wholehearted performance with Trịnh Công Sơn supported the patriotic movements of students. Her comeback in recent concerts has helped to continue the love of Trịnh works among music lovers and the young.
And now's the time to check out our latest updates on weather scene. And that's all we have for now. For more news and updates, please log on to vtv4.vn or youtube.com/vtv4girl. And we'll be back at 6, so see you then and goodbye for now.